Billionaires bought your media, so what will you do to take it back? In the remaining days before the election, millions will be spent to spread disinformation. Hey folks, it's Kathleen, Executive Director of Progress Texas, the largest progressive digital network in Texas. We fight billionaire-backed lies with progressive podcasts and digital media that does year-round what the far right has been doing for decades, informing, educating, and building trust. Join us and invest in the real free press during our sustaining membership drive. Your donation turns out our unique audience of independents, progressives, and young voters. They are the Texans who will decide this election.
My name is Aubrey. I work for a nonprofit providing service dogs free of charge to people with physical disabilities. I like Progress Texas because it brings together like-minded people moving forward all of the initiatives that we want in Texas. It's just a really good group of folks that are contributing to a better Texas.
It's Monday, August 3rd, 2026, and this is the Progress Texas Daily Dispatch, rapid response on the breaking news stories Texas progressives need to know. I'm Chris Mosier. Progress Texas amplifies progressive values, leaders, and actions through our no-paywall podcasts and digital media. We make Texas politics easy to understand and participate in, and your support for fact-based independent media hands the mic to millions of Texans. We can't do what we do without your support. Huge thanks to Karen Coningham, Lee McAfee, and Ann Catherine Shuddy for their ongoing sustaining partnership. Much appreciated. It's been a bit of a dank weekend in Texas as the reclassification of several hemp-derived products from an item you could grab down at the convenience store to an item that could land you in prison came on Friday, and the ridiculousness of the situation dawned on Texans as we once again became a national laughingstock for bad state policy. To review, as of this last Friday, hemp-derived THC variants like Delta 8, Delta 10, and THCP are now Schedule I controlled substances. You could buy them legally and easily on Thursday, but possession of them today is a felony. And social media has been awash with outrage all weekend, but maybe a little short on explanation. For UC kids, Texas is an outlier in the amount of money our politicians receive from lobbyists representing the alcohol industry. Trade groups like the Wholesale Beer Distributors of Texas and the Beer Alliance of Texas, alongside mega distributors like Silver Eagle and Andrews Distributing, have long been a primary and virtually unlimited funding source for Texas Republican electeds, including Governor Greg Abbott, who's hauled in over $1.5 million from wholesale alcohol packs and executives during his day, and Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, who's racked up over $700,000. Beer distributors alone have funneled over $11 million into state campaign coffers. Individual alcohol distribution executives like John Now III of Silver Eagle, for example, who has given Texas Republican politicians over $2.4 million out of his own personal accounts. All of this political spending aims to protect and sustain what is essentially a state-sanctioned monopoly created by Texas's three-tier system, which requires alcohol producers to sell through middleman wholesalers before their products reach retail shelves. Consumable hemp products like Delta 8 gummies and THC seltzers threaten this cush arrangement because industry analysts increasingly view THC products as competition for alcoholic beverages, which costs these guys sales. Once you understand that, Texas's absurd situation with cannabis products is easier to picture because big beer bucks have directly shaped state policy on THC. Dan Patrick has repeatedly and aggressively led pushes in the Texas Senate to ban consumable hemp-derived THC products, leaning on lame public safety rhetoric to bash products that, according to most public health research, cause substantially less population-level harm than alcohol does. I heard from several friends of mine over the weekend who work as musicians who feel personally targeted by all of this. It goes well beyond the ban, though. Texas pot policy has for decades functioned as a tool to suppress and criminalize alternative cultures and minority communities. By maintaining strict criminalization, even as hemp-derived products have gained great popularity among young adults, rural working-class communities, and urban subcultures in Texas, and over half of Americans now live in states where recreational marijuana is legal, Texas Republicans have jealously guarded this weapon to be wielded against common folks. Cannabis and THC enforcement has always disproportionately affected Black and Hispanic Texans, who are arrested much more frequently and sentenced much more harshly than white Texans are, despite near identical rates of usage across racial and socioeconomic demographics. The private prison and alcohol distribution industries are happy, though, and as a bonus, if you get busted over the next few weeks, there's a decent chance you won't be voting in November, so Texas Republicans consider the mission accomplished for now. When money is the issue, ultimately the consumer is king. So for our progressive-minded and thirsty listeners, a few things you can do about all this right now. Next time you go to pick up some beverages, keep this in mind. Wholesale Beer Distributors of Texas, a major Republican contributor, is anchored heavily by the aforementioned Silver Eagle distributors and includes dozens of regional independent Texas distribution outfits. They deal primarily in the Anheuser-Busch InBev portfolio, for example, all Budweiser variants, Michelob Ultra, Stella Artois, and many others, plus a bunch of the major craft and import brands, including Corona, Modelo, and Karbach. Another biggie, the Beer Alliance of Texas, or BAT, is an association of other major independent beverage distributors. They deal in the Molson Coors portfolio, all Coors variants, all Miller variants, Blue Moon, Yuengling, and the major import brands Heineken, Dos Equis, and Pacifico, and large craft brands, including Shiner, that one hurts in Texas, Boston Beer Company, which makes Truly and Samuel Adams, and Monster Energy drinks and seltzers. Wine and Spirits Wholesalers of Texas is in on the Republican cash machine as well, and they're partners with one of Austin's most storied brands, Tito's Handmade Vodka, who, let's be fair, have a long history themselves of supporting progressive causes, but Tito's distributor, Southern Glazers, which operates as part of WSWT, decidedly does not, and they get a cut when you buy Tito's. All of that would seem to cover just about every option, but no, there are clear alternatives for those of us who want to keep our money out of Republican pockets but still want to hit a happy hour. First, make a habit of buying directly from local taprooms and tasting rooms. Under Texas law, consumers can bypass wholesale distributors entirely by buying beer, wine, and spirits directly from manufacturing facilities like independent craft breweries and brew pubs, local distilleries, and Texas wineries. Ask your beer store clerk or bartender for a self-distributed craft beverage. Smaller independent producers are sometimes able to bypass the three-tier system and distribute their own products directly to local bars, restaurants, and independent retailers without signing over their rights and a big chunk of their profits to major distribution conglomerates. All of the major cities of Texas have at least one larger local producer who still handles distribution themselves. Supporting Texas's independent alcohol producers offers a practical lever against the corporate concentration that has led directly through millions of Republican influence peddling dollars to the outsized and unwarranted criminalization of cannabis products in Texas. Our small batch microbreweries, craft distilleries, and local brew pubs operate on modest scales and tight margins, but they represent a vital alternative to the corporate monopoly power that keeps cannabis on the legal margins and feeds our private prison industry. While the mega distributor networks that dominate Texas state politics enjoy a state-sanctioned middleman monopoly that enables them to extract massive profits and fund anti-competitive lobbying, independent craft producers represent local talent, local effort, and you ask me, generally much yummier products. We encourage you to also look into the advocacy groups and labor alliances who represent the little guys, like the Texas Craft Brewers Guild. They're about expanding direct-to-consumer sales and protecting smaller local entrepreneurs from consolidated corporate dominance, and all of us from the bad government policy that emerges from unfair industry favor. This is all great stuff to bear in mind this November, and also when the Texas legislature gets back to business, right in the middle of dry January. This election year, you can support the real free press by investing in pro-democracy, pro-justice, progressive storytelling delivered by Texans for Texans. Join Progress Texas this summer ahead of the midterms and become a monthly donor today, or increase your giving during our summer sustaining donor drive. With your partnership, we can reach more independents, progressives, and young voters who must be mobilized to win elections. Well, thank you with Perks for Progress. You need made merch to match your values. Your choice between an exclusive Resist coffee mug, a sweet Progress Texas summer koozie, and a progressive button pack. Plus, you'll get a shout out on the Daily Dispatch like this one for our friend Randy Simons in the Houston area, who's answered the call. Randy, it's awesome to have you on board. We appreciate it very, very much. That's the Progress Texas Daily Dispatch for this Monday, August 3rd, 2026. Links to all these original stories can be found in our show notes. Learn more about what we do and how you can get involved at progresstexas.org. I'm Chris Mosier. Thanks for listening. Have yourself a great Monday and a great week, too. We'll see you again here tomorrow morning.